Okay, so we just finished discussing what hoy and vux represent. Remember, hoy and vux are just nonsense words that we have an acronym for to represent linear equations that have only a y or only an x. So we're going to be looking at this little flip book that you're going to get next week to glue into your notes. And this little flip book is basically just writing an equation of a line and training you how to recognize whether it is a vertical or a horizontal line. So let's skip to what the first two pages on the inside of that booklet would look like. So the first one is listed here, and we're going to be looking at the equation that they give you, okay? And then we're going to determine from that equation, is that a hoy or a vux? We're going to circle it, and we're going to list which axis it crosses, and then we're going to draw and graph the line. So this equation is x equals 2. So it has an x in the equation. So which word has an x in it? Well, it would be vux. So we're going to circle vux. That means it crosses the x-axis, and it crosses the x-axis at 2. So we're going to go to the x-axis, we're going to go to 2, put a point there, and then we're going to draw what kind of a line? Vux has a V in it, so that's a vertical line. So we're going to draw a vertical line crossing through 2 on the x-axis. So we're going to draw it just like that. Okay? Vertical line crossing through the x-axis. All right, now the next one's a little tricky, and there's another tricky one coming up as well. This one says y equals 0. So if it's y, which word has a y in it? Well, obviously it's hoy, okay? So we're going to circle hoy. And that means it's going to cross the y-axis at 0, and it's going to be a horizontal line. Well, here's the y-axis. The y-axis has 0 here in the middle. And I'm going to draw a horizontal line through that. Well, it just so happens that when I draw a horizontal line through that, that's going to be the same thing as the x-axis itself. So the axis itself is the horizontal line, because it is a horizontal line because it's a hoy, so it's in a y equation. It's going to be passing through the y-axis at 0, but it just so happens that the x-axis crosses through there at 0. So the x-axis is actually the line of this graph. Let's do a couple more examples. The next one says x equals -3. So the equation has an x in it. The word that has an x in it is vux. Vux represents an x equation, so it crosses the x-axis at -3, and the v represents a vertical line. So I'm going to go on the x-axis to -3, put a dot, and I'm going to draw a vertical line through that point on the x-axis. So there's the vertical line that this equation represents. Now the next one's a tricky one again. Okay, this time instead of saying y equals 0, it says x equals 0. So it has an x in it. That automatically means it's a vux. So it's going to cross the x-axis at 0, but it's a vertical line. So the x-axis is here. 0 on the x-axis is right there in the middle, but I'm supposed to draw a vertical line through that. If I draw a vertical line through that, it just so happens that that vertical line is actually the same thing as the y-axis itself. Okay? So anytime that the x or y equals 0, it's going to be one of the axes. And in this case, because it's supposed to be a vertical line, it's going to be crossing through the 0 point, which so happens to be the y-axis. Okay, two more. The next one says y equals 2, so it's a y equation. So the word that has a y in it is hoy. Is hoy, which means it's going to cross the y-axis at 2, and it's going to be a horizontal line crossing through the y-axis. So on the y-axis, I'm going to go to 2 and put a dot. Then I'm going to draw a horizontal line through that point. So there would be the line that crosses through that point on the y-axis. Then the last one says y equals -4, so it's another y equation, so it's another hoy. hoy has a y in it, so it's going to cross the x-axis at -4, the y-axis at -4. So I'm going to go down to -4 on the y, 1, 2, 3, 4, place a dot. And the hoy has an H in it, which stands for horizontal. So I'm going to draw a horizontal line going through that point on the y-axis. So there you have hoy and vux, and there's just a little booklet that gives us some more examples of that. So you're studying the equation. The equation already tells you if it's hoy or vux, because the equation either has an x or a y, and those are two different words. And then once we determine which one it is, then we'll know from the first letter if it's a vertical line or a horizontal line.